that will talk them back off that ledge, because a lot of guys are in pain, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A lot of guys are in pain. A lot of guys feel inadequate.
Yeah. What's that quote? They live quiet lives of desperation. Have you heard that quote? Yeah, I think that's huge. There's a lot of dudes suffering in silence because they don't feel like they're good enough. They don't think that, because they're crippled with ignorance. Because if they knew what you knew, they would be doing what you're doing, right?
Right, yeah. And some guys even are too smart for themselves, actually, right? Like some guys, like I was actually just on the walk over here, we were saying like the two kind of guys who, when they show up for coaching, right? Two kinds of students that I'm always like, oh fuck, like this is gonna be difficult, right? There's two kinds of guys. One is guys who are too smart for their own good. Yeah. Usually social, like usually programmers or something like that.
Right.
Right. And the problem is for them is that they view everything as a logic problem to be solved. And human beings are not like that, and especially women are definitely not like that.
Right.
Women are fucking nuts, right? So and they're gonna throw everything at you, like whatever they're gonna find that little pain button and they're gonna push it. And if you can't handle it, then they're gonna see that. They're gonna see your insecurity and they're gonna leave, right?
That's an interesting point. I've never actually heard somebody say that. So do you think women, how often do you think and how soon do they hit that pain button for men?
Yeah, as soon as they can find it, basically, right? So
wow.
and the hotter the girl is, the faster she's going to try to find the button and push it, because it's a filter for her, right? So she has to like, as a beautiful woman walking down the street or going about your life, literally everybody wants you to do everything, right?
Right.
Like the cafe wants you to be their barista, right? Because you're beautiful. And then, or, you know, even their cover girl on the poster of the cafe, right?
Right.
Everybody's trying to get you to be a model. Everybody wants your time. Everybody wants everything from you, right? So she has to filter, you know, her time. Otherwise, there's nothing, you know, she's not going to get anything done. So the way she filters her time is to understand who is worth her time. And who is worth her time is the person who understands themselves, right? Right? So if she finds some piece of you, right? So like, let's say, for example, you're bald or you're fat or something, right? If she's like,
I feel targeted.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So let's say you rock up to a girl, right? You're like, yo, what up, girl? And she's like, fuck off, bald man, right? And then she looks at you, right? Because it's not that she hates bald men, right? And she's like, how are you gonna deal with this, right? How are you gonna deal with the fact that I'm calling you a bald man? Are you like, you know, are you cool with it in your heart of hearts, right? Right? And where does that come from? That comes from like ancient programming. Like, look, if we are together, man and wife, and a meteor destroys our house, are you going to have the resolve to be able to rebuild what we have and carry our children forward? Right? Are you aware of your own insecurities? Are you aware of what's going to happen? Are you able to take a punch on the chin and keep walking forward?
Right.
So the hotter the girl is, the faster she's going to test you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep, man. And I think that is true, because I think, like you said, it is kind of built into them. Like, they need to test us, you know, and I guess that's what they call it, you know, the shit test in this community. I think that's the problem with a lot of guys too. That's why, you know, I always say, like, the thing above my head here, like, money, muscles, game, frame. Frame is like, you know, your self-esteem, your self-worth, and like, frame is your kind of perception of reality. You know what I mean? And if she can shake or break that frame, she's gonna know, oh, this guy's a fucking pussy, and I don't want to be with him. And they will test it, but they're women test your boundaries to feel safe. You know what I mean? And I think that comes back to with the inner game stuff, because right now I've been doing the coaching online, intensive coaching, you know, since 2019. And one thing I've noticed with the guys, they've kind of taken this more of a feminine approach on things, which is like they need to look perfect. They need to like, they think looks are everything. You need to look perfect. You need to have perfect jawline. You need to have perfect hairline. You need to have perfect ab line, you know, and they're coming at it from a very feminine perspective, in my opinion. But the reality is, you got to have your internal game sorted out. Otherwise, nothing's going to work. And hot girls, they're not going to tolerate that shit. The only thing that is going to put up with that are like broken predatorial women and or just broken women. Would you agree?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, like tons of guys come to me. They have everything in their life sorted. You know, they got money, they got everything, and they're still getting jerked around by women, right? And why is that? It's the frame, exactly. Just like you said. And I think that word is so interesting, right? Because we have our beliefs, right? We have our past, our history, our upbringing, right? Our parents, our socializing agents, whether it's the media or the church or whatever, right? That infuse these beliefs into us at a very young age, right? So those are the beliefs that, okay, now you're sitting here, you're however old you are, you know, we're however old we are. We have beliefs that we've come with, right? The question is, what are you going to do about it, right?
Yeah.
So a frame to me is such a, like the word itself is so powerful because what does a photographer do? They have a box, right? All they do is they choose where they're going to put the box, right? And they take a picture and people say that was a very beautiful place to put the box, right? So it's exactly that's exactly what a frame is. The important part is not what your belief is, it's what your belief does for you, right?
Right.
So are you living, like, you could have a totally deluded belief. You could be absolutely deluded, but as long as it's bringing you forward towards your goal, then that's extreme power, basically.
Could you give an example of someone having a deluded belief but still pulling them forward? What do you mean by that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you see it all the time. Like, you see it all the time at the fringes of society. You can see it in cults. You even see it on Wall Street, right? People have these crazy, extreme beliefs, right? That this is the way that they should do things, and they're pulled towards that, right? So I'm not saying the end justifies the means at all, but all I'm saying is that the way that you choose to look at the world influences the power that you have in it.
Kind of like some of these cryptocurrency leaders who are like cult members, you know, like Richard Hart thinks like Hex is going to change the world. You know, Roger Ver, our boy here in Tokyo, is like, you know, super Bitcoin Cash, but they are galvanizing a following by having such a strong frame and belief in that. Right.
Yeah, so ultimately it's like you have to look at where you want to be in life, whether that is, you know, for with women, going back to the previous topic, right? Like if you're, you know, if there's a magazine model or a porn star or whatever, and you're like, I want to be with that girl that looks like that. I want to walk down the street with a girl that looks like that. Or I want to walk down the street with 3 girls that look like that. Whatever your goal is, cool, fine. You have to set your own internal beliefs to align in that direction, like a prism, right? And that to me is what frame means, right? It's like you choose out of all of the stimulus in the world, out of all the noise that is floating around, you choose where to look at and what to focus on, right? And that creates your destiny, basically.
So let me ask you this. Then what is your frame when approaching women? Because you're very good, you're very successful at it. So like, what is the Mateo frame?
So one thing I like to think of is I actually like to take on the underdog frame, right? And this is actually really interesting. And I think this allows you a lot of freedom, and it's quite empowering, actually. So what it is, in Japan especially, but anywhere in the world, most girls, when a guy goes up to when a guy goes up to her, they're thinking like, let's see what he's got, right? Right? So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm like Rocky, right? I'm like the underdog, like the girl is whatever, right? But I got that hand though, right? So like she might hit me, right? She might hit me once, twice, 3 times, whatever, right? She might poke me where it hurts, right? But I got a puncher's chance, right? So I actually love it when girls underestimate me. Because it gives me space to exceed their expectations.
Oh, wow, that's deep.
Yeah. So I'd much rather like go in like under the radar than come in like flexing super hard.
Because you can only go down. That's really like well thought out. I never even thought of it like that. Because I'm always thinking, honestly, that's how I'm thinking. Like, I need to overachieve. I need to be like, you know,
Right.
just like fucking dwarf them with my awesomeness.
Right. So yeah, and I have this the same thing when I'm coaching guys as well. When I coach guys who are like powerful, like investment bankers, lawyers, whatever, right? They're always like, I have this crazy title, but whenever I say it, like, you can kind of see girls just like their eyes just glaze over, right? And what is it? What is it? Why is it? Or with male models or something, right? Girls will be like, oh my God, I want to talk to that guy. But then they go sit next to them. They're like, this guy's fucking boring. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is it? It's the difference between expectation and who they actually are, right? So if the way you present yourself is like, I'm like the fucking God, then you have there's no space. There's no space higher than God, right?
Right.
Like that you have to crash and burn, right? So when I go up to a girl, I take myself, I'm just myself. I'm just like, and I like to think of it as like cold, naked, and alone. If you were cold, naked, and alone, could you approach a girl, right? Right? Because at the end of the day, we're born and we die cold, naked, and alone for the most part.
That's what Kramer said. I was born naked and I'm gonna die naked. Like, he's like, how are you gonna die naked? He's like, you'll see.